It was December 2021. I was a senior in high school and it was the last day of my AP microeconomics class. As the teacher drew the last lecture to a close, we had about 2.5 hours of free time because everyone else was taking their final exams. And he said if there was anything we wanted to watch in the meantime. One of my friends suggested that we watch Opal, some obscure film. He was saying how good it was. He was describing all of its features, its themes, and the teacher said, why not? I mean, it's a free day. So he went to YouTube, he opened a video, he put it on the main screen for the entire class to see, and it felt like we were watching 12 or 13 minutes of just pure TV static. And by the time the film had finished, my teacher's mouth was agape. He was just shocked at what he'd seen, and so was the entire class. It was completely silent, and my friend attempted to explain what we'd just seen to no avail. And this brings to mind like something that only a very select minority of people will enjoy, whereas the rest of us will just look at them like they're crazy. And I don't know how to articulate exactly what that category of individual is. It's sort of like a following, or you could describe it as, I don't know. I can't. It's on the tip of my tongue. Now, the reason I bring up the Opal incident is because it's sort of analogous to what's happening with Bunny. As in, the readers of Bunny, those who really enjoy Bunny, those symbolize my friend. And those people go onto social media and they hype up the novel, and a mainstream reader gets their hands on Bunny, and they just don't like it. They don't see the hype in it, and they post a negative review, or they don't even post a review at all. They just say, well, this is a big hunk of garbage. And I think Mona Awad sort of acknowledges this sort of niche factor of her novel within Bunny itself, which is sort of genius. But at the same time, it's sort of justified that the mainstream audience, and mainstream meaning like anyone who just picks up a book for fun, they don't, highlight every single thing. They just read for the pleasure of it. They read for the story. And that's the point of a novel for most people, is that it's supposed to tell a story. And the story of Bunny is hidden under so many layers, and there's confounding factors to those layers that make it just a chore for many to get through. And I sort of want to justify the mainstream position. Firstly, novels do not sell because of their style. They sell to the majority for their story. And I just want to articulate how complicated Bunny's story is and why this would just deter most people from finding any interest in this book. And I'm going to refer to notes because, attempting to articulate off the top of my head would just not work out. Before getting to the story, there are two complicating factors to even processing the story. And it's the fact that Samantha is a doubly unreliable narrator, which complicates everything, and the fact that Awad uses these rapid transitions that just make the reader feel like the entire novel is a stream of consciousness. Samantha's unreliability is established in chapter 6, where she just states that she outright lies all the time. And then the twist in the novel complicates everything because now you don't know what was fact or fiction. So I cited one instance where it's just completely ambiguous as to what is fact or fiction, and it occurs in chapter 17, where Eleanor, or aka the Duchess, asks for Jonah's company. He says, "Jonah," clapping her hands like he's in a approaching parade. "It's so good to see you." Jonah is a figment of Samantha's imagination, so Samantha writing about this, you don't even, is this a lie or is this just Eleanor making fun of Samantha because they're aware of her, sort of disorder with her imagination, that she's too invested in her art. And on top of everything being completely ambiguous, Awad intentionally just throws red herrings at the reader to just distract them from pivotal information. For example, on page 87, a hysterical laugh comes out of me like a cough. That's when Rob Valentia's head explodes, literally explodes. That little scene just distracts the reader from anything else, his head just explode, and then she goes into a more gory description in the next paragraph. And then it distracts from the final paragraph of that chapter, wherein Awad states, "The song my 17-year-old heart knows so well becomes one I finally recognize," which hints at what Ava symbolizes, because Ava gets a bald spot similar to Rob Valencia's bald spot later on in the novel. So what is real or false is ambiguous. And there are these scenes that just completely distract you from pivotal information. So how are you supposed to find the story? Surely the story is simple to find, and it's not, because the story lies in a symbol of a symbol. Ava is a draft, and that draft embodies Samantha's trauma. And I demonstrate this by pointing out that Samantha doesn't really meet Ava until her fallout with the lion, and the lion and Ava sharing the same scent of green tea sort of means that the memory of the lion inspired Samantha's writing of Ava. And then, as demonstrated before, the memory of Rob Valencia inspiring Ava further down the line via her bald spot. So, Ava embodies Samantha's trauma. With that said, Ava's death is actually a good thing because it means Samantha is severing her ties with those attachments, or attachments, because those weren't really actual relationships that she had with other people. And by severing those and like abandoning her imagination, essentially, it gives the graduation scene so much more meaning. And it states, or Awad states toward the end of the novel, all of it's behind me now, leaving me like my spilled words on the floor of the lined living room. So leave them there. She's leaving her attachments in the past, and it signals growth. It signals that she's going to start looking forward, and she conquered her past. So, from a mainstream perspective, finding any semblance of story within Bunny is an extremely demanding task. Yet there exists a niche audience that embraces that sort of inaccessibility. They cherish the brain teaser that is Bunny. For example, Lori says on Goodreads, "I loved it, just don't ask me what it was about." I mean, they just sort of find Awad's style intriguing. This sort of, even though you don't know what's real or what's fake, and you are constantly distracted, and the story is very hard to find, they just enjoy solving the jigsaw puzzle that is Bunny. And that's really why I think Bunny's like really gone up in popularity, or that's why there's hundreds of thousands of reviews. In that those who like the novel will like shout it from the rooftops, like, "Oh my goodness, this novel is revolutionary!" And then those who don't have the same taste as them get a hold of the novel, and they're like, "Wow, this is terrible." So did I love it or did I hate it? Am I a part of the cult? Am I a part of the mainstream? Am I my friend, or am I the people sitting in the classroom watching Opal, staring in just utter silence? And I'd say I'm probably my friend. I'd say I do enjoy Awad's puzzling style and how she approaches telling a story through a symbol, and how she pokes fun at herself in that, yeah, this story isn't for everybody. This is for a niche audience. Some people will find it pretentious. Some people will see it as really nothing, as 300 pages of words between two covers. And I enjoy the novel's themes as well. I didn't really catch on to what Ava symbolized until I reread the novel over this past weekend, and I found that rather beautiful, sort of Samantha letting go of her past. I mean, at first I found Samantha to be like an irredeemable narrator, just really annoying, complaining all the time, but she sort of does have a traumatizing past, and her conquering that past at the very end of the novel as she graduates is very fitting. And then also the theme of solitude, how Samantha just writes by herself and lets her imagination take over, and the theme of just trying to fit in, and also the creative process, the satirical approach to the creative process, where Fosco says, "Oh, this is all part of the process," at the last workshop, essentially, where Cupcake, has her things carved into, her eat me, and Fosco's like, "Oh yeah, it's like just another day at Warren." In sum, Bunny is not for everyone. The weird style some would appreciate, and others would just, not finish the book. And I find myself enjoying the puzzle as well. Like, even after I had known the twist in advance and reread the novel this past weekend, I mean, I still felt really confused, and I just enjoyed it. But I do feel that Awad is a bit too ambiguous in some regards, or maybe that's just me being stupid. Maybe I just have to go back and reread again. But that's why I'm giving Bunny 4.25 stars, because if I have to read this novel a third time to comprehend, what's Samantha doing during those campus tours, or who is Samantha, dancing with at Tango Palace, I mean, that's really testing my patience.